This is an ad.
I hate ads!
An ad for crisp, refreshing Angry Orchard hard cider.
That is refreshing.
An ad that interrupted your podcast.
I hate being interrupted!
To remind you to stop being angry at me and crack open an Angry Orchard.
That's a good idea.
Don't get angry. Get Orchard. Angry Orchard Cider Company, LLC. AngryOrchard.com. Please drink responsibly. Angry Orchard is a hard cider with other natural flavors.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to
Carvana.
Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
The Roses were living the dream.
To you, my darling.
No, to you.
Until it all came crashing down.
You got fired.
Fired?
On August 29th, stop.
You stop!
And see The Roses. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, August 29th.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero here. Appreciate all of you that follow us, that listen to us, and participate with us. If you're new to this, my name's Tony Ruggiero. I'm a golf coach and teacher down in Palm Beach Gardens area at Old Palm, where I spend a big chunk of my time, where I'm lived in Mobile, Alabama, and have a studio here for a long time, and travel around the South and the country as well, teaching folks on the Live Tour, the PGA Tour, LPGA, Epson tours, colleges, and so forth, as well as anybody that wants to get better. And these are a collection of my conversations and the stories and the people that I meet on the road or that I teach with, whether they're coaches, players, sometimes students that have interesting stories. All of it is an effort to bring you the people that I find fascinating, that I find have a story, that I find can help all of you improve your golf game or improve your coaching, or just fuel your passion for getting better at the game. So we hope you like the Tour Coach, and if you like it, please do us a favor, like it, subscribe to it, share it, and also want to remind all of you that here at the DewSweepers, we've been really making an effort. I know a lot of you've reached out, really made an effort to put out a lot of content. I know the instruction game is changing. There's more and more content. That's where those of you that are passionate about and have a desire to get better at the game go, is to the sources of content. You can always find us on the DewSweeper on Instagram, but in particular, our DewSweeper TV on YouTube. All you got to do is go to YouTube and type in DewSweeper TV. And once again, we've got a major coming up. So we're in that stretch with a bunch of majors through the season, and we're going to run another contest. We've just dropped another Pro Work episode. And look, so starting now, I draw the night after the U.S. Open, Monday night. All you have to do is go to DewSweeper TV on YouTube and watch the Pro Work episode where we take Fred from shooting 85 down to 75, true story, golf.com article backing it up, and type in hashtag Pro Work or hashtag Tour Coach or hashtag DewSweeper TV. You pick. And on that Monday, I'm going to take from all the people that watch and comment, that signs you up for the contest, and I'm going to draw for another set of Srixon irons that fit you, your choice, a Vineyard Vines gift pack, or a Wingman mini. And then this time I'm even going to throw in a hat, a cool looking hat from the folks at Epic Western. And I'm going to tell you what, when I get done getting through the Monday before the U.S. Open, we got 4 of our students in sectionals trying to earn their way into the U.S. Open. We'll be sitting there that night drinking me one of those Palomas from Epic Western. Folks, if you like sipping something cool and refreshing, a cocktail, and there's not going to be anything better as the heat gets up in June and we're watching the U.S. Open in a week, grab you an Epic Western Paloma. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And, of course, as we get ready to head into these conversations that are going to help you with the game of golf, none of this would be possible without the folks at Bushnell, Srixon, Vineyard Vines, Epic Western, as I just mentioned, and my boy Mitch McConnell and Buick GMC, Taylor Martino and Rowan, and Blaine Stokely. They're the best. They support the DewSweeper wherever we go, whether it's on the airwaves here in our content or on the radio. So keep listening here to the Tour Coach, and please like and subscribe us, and we hope you like what you hear. All right, good. Welcome into the Tour Coach. My name's Tony Ruggiero. Most of y'all know that. And joining me today, this will be a little bit different tone here on the Tour Coach. But joining me is Dr. Greg Cartin, who you've heard many a time here, as well as Noah Firestone, who was Grayson Murray's best friend. He caddied for him for the period of time. He was caddying for him a bunch the period of time that I worked with Grayson, a little over a year and a half ago. And today's discussion is going to be really about mental health and the struggles that everybody goes through, and how to deal with it. And hopefully through sharing some stories, sharing some experiences, and some talk, we can reach somebody or help somebody out there. So Noah and Greg, Doc, thanks so much for joining me. Noah, why don't you go ahead? We talked a little bit before we came on. Kind of start with the story as you see it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tony. But Grayson and I were, he was my boss at one point, and he fired me. But
he fired lots of us. It's okay.
Exactly. But more than that, Grayson, I was going to be in his wedding. He was going to be in mine. So he was somebody that, I talked to daily, and just him and I became brothers. And, it's been a hard week, but I know that he would want me to do this and put light on his life and, try to help others through that. And so I'm going to take the time to do that. And, let's try to help people as best as we can. But, the thing about Grayson is that everyone saw him on, TV, and, he just won in Sony, and he was always so selfless. And, after his win, if you haven't watched his interview, go on YouTube, watch it. Everyone was just drilling him with the questions about, sobriety and, how he's overcome some of the demons like that. And, he was always so open to try to help people, but deep down, he was still struggling himself. He put up that kind of front, I have everything. But then, to someone like me and his other close friends, he was still struggling. And that just shows that, fame and success isn't always what it's cracked up to be. Him and I had many conversations about, what makes him happy, and he would always talk about, Tony, you've seen it, he loved his dogs, he loved his nephews, yep. And, that was his thing. And, he loved being one of the boys. Right.
No, for sure. We had plenty of good dinners, and things. And as you know, and as we discussed, and I had shared with Doc, when we quit working, it wasn't a bad thing, right? We stayed friends. We still texted. I still texted and checked on him every couple of weeks. He reached out a few times when he needed something. And in fact, at the PGA, he came up and gave me a hug. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, and Doc, you talked about this before we went on, was one of the, Noah, when I was reading all the responses when it was announced that he had passed and all the stuff on social media, one of the biggest things I saw was everybody going, but he had just won. And man, he was having the best year. And I think that there's this, I don't know if misunderstanding is the right word, but Doc, that if people are, there's this thought that if people are winning and everything's going good on the golf course or in life or whatever, you could put any profession, that they've got to be doing okay and that they're happy. Right. And I think that was, and Noah, that after Doc talks, you could attest that, just because he was playing better didn't necessarily mean he was okay. And I think people don't necessarily separate and understand that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's couldn't be more true. Interesting, in our work over the last 10, 15 years has been such a massive shift from, all right, let's go out and help people perform better. Right? And what I've realized over the years is that people necessarily don't want that or need that. They're trying to find some fulfillment in what they do. And because everyone assumes, like you said, it's a misconception that when I win or when I get my card or when I, break the course record, like then I'll be happy. So like we put our heads down and we grind and we're miserable and then we achieve our goals and then it doesn't bring us the joy that we thought. And then we're sitting there like, wow, not only did I waste all that time, but we're constantly searching for things that are going to make us happy. And this, in a really sad way, is an example of that, right? Like there was this, like you said, all these comments, oh, well, what happened? He won. He should be happy, right? And a lot of the work, I do with kids is now based on, let's connect with some of the things that you really love about golf or really love about your life and have a little bit more balance. And because winning and getting a Division I scholarship and all these things aren't going to bring you the happiness that you think. And it's a really sad to see. It's almost more sad to see people achieve their goals than not, because when they do, they're never as happy as they think they're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I saw it after Hawaii, like, those first couple of days, it was like, all like, I just won, I get to go to the Masters, all these things come, and then, him and I talked, a week or two after, and then he's just like, yeah, just back out on the course, doing this, doing that, and it's like, I could tell that it wasn't like the fulfillment, like, I mean, yes, he was happy, but he was still searching, like you said, he was searching for that, like, deeper, like, I wake up and, I'm happy with myself, I'm happy with the people around me, and, like, that's what he was still searching for. And, and that's the thing, the people, like you said, on social media, they just see, because they can go on his bio and, you look up and it's like, okay, you made X amount of dollars this year, you have this, you're playing in this, and people are like, okay, they have it together. And then, I mean, really, you're sitting there and it's like, someone that he leaned on, it's like, I knew that, like, he still wanted more. Because, and the thing about Grayson was that, like, Tony, you can see it, like, he was so selfless and, like, I mean, how many times did we go to dinner and you try to pay and he's like, no, this is,
No, he was.
Thank you. I told this is me. Like, he was the most giving of his time. Of anything to people.
No. I thought, of all the people I've worked for, he's probably the most generous guy I've worked for. Right, especially for somebody that I've told Greg this, and you and I've texted, like, you always wondered if you could have helped him more or you could have done more, but like, he was incredibly generous, and to me, the mark of somebody that is a good person and is generous is they do the stuff when nobody sees or knows about it. I think it's easy to make gestures and do cool things when the media is showing and you're going to get a bunch of credit for it. But when you do the things and the little things day to day, trying to be nice to people and take care of the people around you that nobody sees or nobody's ever going to know, I mean, to me, that really shows you what's inside a person.
Yeah, and, like, something that, I've been going through my camera roll and stuff just because, him and I were so close. So it's like this past week I've been trying to find, like, happy things to look at because that's just, I mean, Tony, me, I'm usually laughing and joking around and, that's just who I am. And I was going back and I was looking through pictures of Grayson, and, like, the one that really got to me was we were in the Bahamas in Exuma, and they have, like, stray dogs everywhere. And he spent probably $500 that week on dog food for these stray dogs, and he would just go up to, like, a pack of them and just him, like, feeding these things. And, like, I saw these videos and I was like, that's, like, the Grayson, like, that's the guy that I know. And
but no, you would say it's fair to say he was misunderstood too, right? Like,
yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you had mentioned also before, I think this is really important, like, everyone identified him as a golfer, and he didn't want to identify with himself as a golfer. Right?
Yeah,
like
he wanted to be
so much more. Golf was something he was good at.
Yes.
And he did it for a living, but there was so much more to him. Nobody really saw that.
You think, Doc, do you think that that's part of when people, like you're looking at golfers or celebrities or whatever, is that part of, does that make the depression worse that people only see them as golfers or only whatever and they don't know the other parts?
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily makes it worse. It's more how you identify yourself, right? Like, so the example we use with parents all the time is when they're watching their kids play and kid plays great and they come home and they go get ice cream, they celebrate, hey, that was awesome. And then when they don't get treated the same way. So they start to develop this identity around results and what they do.
Yeah, we're such a results-based society. Yeah. I mean,
that's right. And if I play well, people treat me differently than when I don't. So then they start to crave that. And then when they do succeed, it still doesn't bring them the happiness that they really expect because it's not how they identify themselves. They're not golfers. Golf is something they do, and they happen to be good at it, whatever it may be. But so trying to break away from identifying with being a golfer or being an athlete or whatever it may be, or an actor, whatever it may be, and being, focusing on other things, being a good person, how you treat others, all these things those are the things that should be celebrated, not the results. And that's a really hard thing for professional athletes for sure. It's hard to break away from that identity. And I think it does. I think it causes a lot of stress and problems.
Noah, talk a little bit about it. I think people think that playing professional golf is always glamorous. I can tell you, people think teaching professional golf's glamorous. It's not always that. I always thought Grayson, and you know him way better, but he really struggled with the grind of being on the road and being alone. And a lot, right? Yeah. And you could tell. I remember texting with him. This was before the win, but I mean, at Sony, but last year when he was playing great on the, Corn Ferry and the text, like, just, like, you could tell he, was lonely in hotels. And that was one of his big struggles, was the being on the road. And the more he was on the road and the more that got to him, the harder a time he had.
100%. And that's something that, like, since I've stopped working for Grayson, I work now, and then where I work, we're closing down for 3 months this summer. And he asked me this summer, would you want to travel with me, for some of the events? And I told him, I said yes, because I knew how hard, like, he just wanted company. Because, when he was alone, that's when he would sit there and, question himself for what he's doing and if that's what he wants to do. And, so that's something that we had talked about. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm free these weeks. And he was like, all right. He's like, let me know, and you're coming with me. And then, I was going to caddy for him the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs in Memphis because his caddy Jay's brother was getting married. So, and he was like, every time I saw him, he was like so excited for that. He's like, and then if he played well, he was like, hey, we're closer to Memphis now, and I get to have you back out and stuff. And it's just like, I could tell when he was getting lonely on the road too, because it was almost like the more lonely he got, the less he would reach out. And
yeah, no doubt about it. And the shorter the answers got. The shorter the answers.
Exactly. I mean, because I knew, he'd call me and we'd talk for 30 minutes because, we'd talk about the hockey game the night before, that, he went to this restaurant, it was great. But it's like I could tell the longer he was on the road and, like, the more it just became, Grayson Murray, the golfer, like we were talking about, the more that he struggled even to reach out to a guy like me that, knew all the stuff. And
Doc, is that pretty typical? Is that what? And because I think one of the goals for the three of us doing this was if one person listened to this, makes a better decision for them, gets help, right? Like we've done something good. So, but like, is that typical? Or what are signs that people should look for? I don't know necessarily
typical. I think, I'll use the caddy example. No one knows this. Like, a lot of guys are starting to just bring friends out, right? They want someone out there to.
Well, look at this past week. McIntyre had his dad on the bag because he missed it.
Exactly.
And then they won.
And this is becoming a trend, I think, that people are realizing they need someone else out there with them. And I think that's why, over the last how many years also, like, there's more of a team aspect out there. People surround themselves with people they like and trust because it is such a grind and it's so lonely out there. Obviously, it's different in team sports because that's already built in. Like, you're out there with a bunch of your friends, but golf doesn't provide that necessarily. And I think, the shift in guys, hiring their friends to caddy for them, not because they're good caddies, but because they're good people and they like being around them, and it gets them away. And I think that's the other message too. Like, it's okay to get away while you're playing. Like, get away and do other things. You don't have to be focused on golf all the time, and because it just grinds people down. I mean, there are some people that certainly are built for that and enjoy that part of it, but most people don't.
Right.
And I know a lot of guys out there who aren't happy with that lifestyle. I
think most of the people that we would say, where you say, oh, that guy's just built for it. In the end, though, I mean, you don't necessarily know mentally, like, how fulfilled and emotionally how fulfilled are they really, right? I mean, we're saying they're just built for it and it's turned out okay because they've had a great career. We don't necessarily know that that when they're sitting by themselves at home alone that they're very happy, right?
That's right.
And I think we assume
they won't bring them that. Right. And I think that's an really important message. Like, it never will bring the fulfillment that you need or you're searching for.
But are there, Greg? This is more your, like, if you're friends of somebody that battles stuff like this, like obviously Noah knew, and I mean, and you could tell stories I know, and I know I could from the times I was with him.
Right.
What's the way to help? What's the way to handle it? I mean, and I mean, I also think there's probably, to me, Grayson just at the end, I mean, Noah, you could attest this, but he just seemed very tired. Right? But, like, Doc, how can we help these people? Or what do we do?
Well, I think that is so important. The other reason it's important to be around people that know you and trust, and that you trust, is that they can sense these things better than others. And there is help out there. Right? And all you have to do is ask. There's plenty of people out there. And so it doesn't always need to be a professional. It can be a friend. And being a good listener goes a really long way in helping somebody. But there are plenty of resources when it comes to getting professional help too. I just don't think people either, one, aren't aware that they are, but they do exist, and two, know how to do it. But, there's websites, there's you talk to friends, and everyone's going to know somebody. And also the problems, too, is there's a stigma attached to it, right? Like, that it's a sign of weakness still if you seek out help with your mental health. And it makes me sad. And I think it's really, it's not so much a weakness, it's the opposite. It's a strength that if you admit to yourself, hey, I'm going to get someone to help me a little bit. And sometimes it doesn't take much. Being a good listener. But there are resources, and there's plenty of people out there who know what they're doing that can help. It's just a matter of getting down to it and reaching out.
And Noah,
we've developed a nice network, and I know that's like a good example, right? You have a nice network of people, and you're always referring people to me, and that's an important step. And anyone who's listening to this, feel free to reach out.
Well, I mean,
some help.
You've been a help to me. I mean, I'm not, heck, I mean, Noah, as you know, like teaching too, it gets lonely, and sometimes I always talk about in my situation, which isn't anything like what we're talking about, but like you get to where you equate your worth as a person with how the guys are playing. Right.
Yes.
And heck, no, we ate a bunch of dinners together. I mean, I struggle with that. I've struggled with it a bunch, right? And Doc, you've helped me a ton with that. But
T, I think you're a good example about with this, in that you've been successful in your career, but that doesn't bring you the happiness that you derive. It's from sitting around with people and shooting the shit and having a good time. And then we've made that model work in these camps, right, where we let these kids and adults know that you can actually have fun with a group of strangers and people who are there for the same reason. You can have a really good time and still get better at golf. But, like, there's more important parts to it. Like, the best parts of these camps are not when we're grinding on the golf course. It's when we all get together at dinner and share stories and listen to each other and talk. And those are so powerful. And it's why I've always loved going to them, because that's where people derive the most happiness and fulfillment, I think.
And again, I think one of Grayson's legacies is going to be how open he was the past year, 2 years, where about his struggles with it, and that because Grayson was, he was a manly man. I mean that, like, he was like a guy's guy, right? Like you wouldn't say there was anything, weak about him, right? Like, he hit the shit out of it. He could hit it a long way. He was emotional when he played. Like,
not even just in golf. In everything.
Everything.
In competitive. You saw it down in Dominican with us.
Yeah.
We're doing ball rolling contests to the hole, just to see who was going to buy dinner and stuff. It was always like, yeah. And that's a good way to describe it. Like, he was just so, he was like a guy. He wanted to just go out there and, if it meant beating me rolling a golf ball, then that's like, that was him. And
I think that like the fact that he was like that, but was so open about his struggles, and if anybody listens to looks at his interviews on YouTube, like you talked about, Noah, like, they'll see that, like, hey, it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to ask for help, right? And I hope that's what his legacy is. And Noah, I know you guys, you're involved with the family and friends, and are doing some stuff to try to help in his legacy and the way people remember him and honor him. Talk a little about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So yesterday at the service, I got dinner, like, with his parents Sunday night, the last Sunday. So the day after, we were just kind of talking and telling stories. And, it was something that, like, dawned on me. I was like, if we can save, like, one person in his name, like, that's more than enough. And, and that's what he wants, because he was such a giver. But I know, in talking to the family more this week and everything, they're going to start a foundation for mental health and suicide awareness. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to be named the Grayson Murray Foundation. And, I know that right now everyone's kind of grieving, but I know that that's going to be kind of the kickstart for everyone, not to get past it, because we're never going to get past it. I'm going to look back and all the, the things that I did with my friend, and, things that I'm not going to be able to do now. But I know that with this foundation, we're going to, and like you said, it's going to be more like a family type thing, and, like, everyone that was connected to Grayson is going to feel that type of family bond through this, and I was talking with his, with some of his friends, and I'd love to go around and, Grayson, he was about as American as it gets, know, and, like, and that's something that, like, I kind of want with my help with everything. I'd love to have it be with, like, veterans as well, because, he loved our military and everything like that. And, other people, our age that were struggling. So that's something, with this foundation, we want to make it as big as we can, because, we now, and, like, I've been talking to my family and everything, we control his, legacy and how people portray him, because when people just see him on the TV, they see the, some of the antics and the club throws and stuff. People are like, oh,
he was good at that too. Like, he was good at that too.
He was very good at that. But, like, now we get to control, like, Grayson Murray's name. And that's something that's, like, through this, once we get more details, I'll put everything out. But, through this, if we can just help one person, he would be so happy. and that's something going forward that, I'm excited to invest time in, a couple of his friends at the service for his family. And, that's just something too that, because we talked about never being alone, and that's something that's going to be so good for us and the family, is that we are going to become all one, and that's something that we've talked about this week, that's what he wants, He wants all of us to join in as one to help people because of how selfless and, how great he was to everyone around.
Well, you guys getting that message out about the person who he really was, because he was misunderstood.
For sure.
It's going to really help, I think, a lot with the grieving process to spread the message about who he really was. And through that, I think maybe you won't be surprised at how many people will be helped by that. Right? Just that. And that it's okay to ask for help, and you could still be this, strong guy and successful golfer, but you can also admit, when you need some help, and that's going to help a lot of people. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, because I just think the more people that understand that it's not a weakness if you ask for help.
Exactly, it's a strength. That you're strong enough to peel back and just say, hey, I need help. That's a position of strength and not weakness, and that's something that because we've grown up, and it's like, okay, you're the guy, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. And it's like, when are we going to be the ones to be like, okay, I need the help, and that's through this. I think we're going to help a lot of people because they're going to see that it's a strength, because for them reaching out, it's going to make everyone around them better. And that's something that I know he would want for all of us to do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Guys, this has been awesome. Doc, what's the best way for people to get help real quick, to let people know? I know we don't have necessarily numbers we've got to give out, but where for anybody listening that, does, need to take a step to get help, what's the best thing to do?
Ask around. There's enough people that will be within your network that will know where to go. There's plenty of good resources online. I don't have any websites or anything off the top of my head, but if people want to reach out to me, my phone is always I'm always available. And just to start that conversation and whether or not I can help or point them in the right direction, happy to do that as well. And Noah, happy to be of any help I can be with the foundation. And I have plenty of people in my work circle and peers, colleagues that I'm sure would be happy to help as well.
Same here, Noah. As you know, any way we can help, let us know, please.
And that's something where golf's so great. It's like, you've run into so many people, and you're like, wait, I know this person from here, and you could be across the country. And that's where golf, it is like a family. And like this kind of thing it's going to take off just because of, how close the golf community is.
And here's why it will also take off, because there's a lot of people out there that need the help as well.
Yes.
Right. And exactly. It's a huge need, and it doesn't take much.
Exactly. It's just getting the ball rolling and, having the right people around to, really get this thing to have it be their passion. And, and I think we have that, which is really cool and really exciting.
Absolutely.
That's great to hear.
Awesome stuff. But, Noah, thank you.
Before we go quick, I want to tell one Grayson story.
Oh,
just so,
absolutely.
Everyone can kind of,
absolutely.
So everyone can kind of see the kind of guy he was. All right. And like, you've seen it, I've seen it, but it's like, if one person can just be like, okay, that's like, this is how I think of Grayson now, that's what I want to do. So this past, in February, it was my birthday, and him and I played, the course I work at down in Florida, and we were kind of running late, and we were going to Drive Shack, which is like Top Golf but in West Palm. And we get there, and he's him, he's trying to trim down, and he was on a diet and everything. Well, we get there, and there's like cupcakes and all these different things, and I've never seen the guy like just smile more, because as he's eating cupcakes, and he's the first guy to dive into like the fries and everything. And then I remember I have a video of him that when I was looking through, I was like, this is so great. he's sitting there at Drive Shack, and he has like 10 balls lined up, and he's just firing them at the range picker guy. And everyone's laughing. He's having a good time. And I captioned it Masters Prep because it was before that. And, it's just like, that's something I wanted to just tell people. It's like, that was the guy that I know. All he wanted to do was just hang out and have a good time. And it's a really good memory I have of him because it's like, we see these guys as, they're just, they're on TV and the PGA Tour, but like the things that made him happy were what we did as kids of hitting golf balls at the range picker, and like that's just something that I wanted to kind of end it with as like an uplifting, that's the Grayson that I know kind of deal.
And that was the Grayson we all knew. And that was a great story. Noah, thanks for taking the time. And if you'll do us one favor, as stuff comes out with the foundation and ways for people to get involved, share it with us so we can share it on our social channels as well. And obviously when this comes out, we're going to share this so we can spread the word as much as we can. Doc, thanks as always for your time. I'll look forward to seeing you in a week or so. And Noah, please, as always, I know we'll be in touch and be linked through this.
Yeah, Tony, when you come down to Old Palm and you need some help, let me know. I'd love to help you out this summer. And
appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, thanks, guys.